No. 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 Even worse. The Hobbit? Yeah. All right. So trading books. I think they're a joke. And I have a lot of experience with trading books, as you just saw. I don't think they're worthwhile. I don't think they actually produce any true results. General knowledge, yes, but practical money-making results, not really. And again, this is not theory. Not only do I have personal experience with it, but if you just look at the statistics out there, and when you factor in that 90% of day traders, some say 95% lose money, hopefully we can agree on the logic that, if trading really was just as easy as reading a book, then, could we agree that, you would think success rates would at least be like 50%, maybe 40% success? You would think it would be higher than a 90, 95% failure rate if it was just as easy as reading a book. Now, books have their time and place. I'm not saying that books are totally worthless. I don't know what I'm not a big believer in books, and I'm gonna give just one example out of many that are out there that explain why books just don't work. And the problem, well, let me give some credit because I don't want to be this. If you're just looking to figure out, hey, what is the stock market? Hey, what actually is a day trader? What actually is, a trend line? Then yeah, a book can give you some good, solid pictures. But unfortunately, there's more to being a consistent trader. There's more to, being a consistent and successful day trader or swing trader or investor really than knowing what a trend line is or knowing what a candlestick is. Are those things important? Yes. Can a book show you those things? Yes, they can. But that's just, there's so much more to it. That's pretty much like saying, hey, how does a bike work? You're like, oh, well, you hop on and you pedal and then you go. Okay, no. How does a bike actually work? Explain to me how a bike works using force vectors and coefficients of friction and, scientifically, from a physics perspective, explain how a bike works. And then most people are like, oh, yeah, I guess from that point of view, I don't really know how a bike works. And the same is true with trading. Sure, you can understand the basics, and a book can teach you that. So are books totally worthless? No, I was probably being a little bit dramatic in that sense, but I'm assuming if you're watching this, I'm assuming if you're getting into the financial markets, and not necessarily the stock market or the Forex market or futures market or any of those, the crypto market, I'm assuming you actually want to make money. So what is the problem? The problem, and like I said, this is just one example that I'll go through, and there's some practical information here that I want you to apply to yourself because maybe this is what's causing you to struggle or can save you some headaches. But this, like I said, this is just one. So I'm not saying this is the only issue, but this, from a general framework perspective, just summarizes what's going on. So I see this quite a bit, and we have, a trader over here, Bob, and Bob's read a bunch of books, and within these books, and you maybe have seen something similar to this. He's learned about 5%. 5% of what? Well, you know what? For risk management, you only should risk any variation, 5% of the capital, but all this has to do with risk, right? 5%. That's what you should do. And okay, well, that makes sense because you don't want to put in your whole account. And so again, yeah, that it makes sense from a very textbook, from a very theoretical standpoint. But let's say that Bob is then going to use, and I'm just making this up, but $1,000. Now, $1,000, 5%, that means, right around a risk of $50. So what's the problem though? Well, right now you're thinking, well, that's good. That is good risk management. That's true. But again, we're still in the pages of a book. We're not in the real world of trading. And part of the real world of trading are emotions, our feelings. It's a big psychological game. And if Bob looks at that $50, so if he's looking at that and he's thinking the thought of losing $50, so this is Bob's face, losing $50. I don't care. He could have the perfect understanding of a strategy. He could have the perfect everything. But if he's looking at that $50, knowing that that's what's at risk, but he doesn't feel comfortable with losing $50, that trade plan is going out the window. See you later. Doesn't matter. I don't care what any book is telling you about 5% of risk capital. If you're not actually okay with what that 5% is or whatever this number that the textbook is telling you is, if you're not okay with it where? Down here in your heart, up here. If you're not okay with $50, then you're gonna freak out. You're never gonna be able to follow a trade plan, even if the trade plan is flawlessly perfect. So now if you're looking at $50 and saying, who cares? Well, then that's a much different story, which brings about something that I never read in any trade books. I never read in anything. And what Bob should really be doing is running what I like to call the nail biting test. So what is the nail biting test? Well, Bob needs to ask himself, okay, he knows based on the book, 5%, $50. So now he needs to ask himself, okay, well, $50 right here. Biting nails. I need to invest in better chalk. All right, so biting nails, meaning if he's putting $50 on the line and just the thought of losing $50 has him going, oh, $50, then you know what? I don't care what this book says about 5%. It's not gonna work out. But if he's looking and he's looking at $50 and saying, no, I'm not biting my nails, whatever, who cares, it's $50. Okay, well then there you go. Once again, a very small thing. Maybe you're saying, well, I already knew to do that. Well, like I said, but there's lots of other things like this. Point here, those little things that's not in a book that you need to realize that if you're not comfortable with the $50, it's not gonna work out. So for you, maybe, let's say Bob says, well, all right, well, what happens if this number becomes $500? Oh, $500, that's a lot of money. Well, you know what? Then at this point, things need to shift around. For me, my nail biting test, I look at $50, and I don't say this in a cocky way. It's just everybody's different. Everything is relative and subjective. But $50, yeah, whatever. $500, $5,000. Oh my, that's a lot. That's like an all-inclusive vacation down to Mexico, or probably a couple of them, depending on where you stay. So for me, $5,000, I don't want to be risking that in a single trade. So that's where I am. And if you just ask yourself, very powerful question. Am I going to be biting my nails? The nail biting test, you're going to start to quickly figure out where does your personal risk tolerance fall. Now, also full disclaimer, I could be wrong. Maybe there's a book out there that talks about the nail biting test. But in the books that I owned, which you saw a few of them there when I was getting started, I never learned about anything like this. I was just always, you enter in only 5% of your capital. Or another classic is, well, as soon as the stock goes X percent against you, so as soon as the stock goes 5% against you, get out. But if only it were that easy. And I'm not going to go into why the whole, well, if as soon as it goes 5%, get out is silly. But those are just the things where, and again, I don't have any proof, I don't have any detail, but where I am now, and I don't say that in the sense of a massively successful trader, I'm so good, just where I am now in the sense of I've traded in the market, I've experienced ups and downs, I've met the voices that us traders have in our heads. It makes me really wonder, have any of those authors ever actually traded? Or are they just really good at theory, throwing around mathematical formulas and all that sort of stuff? Again, maybe they have traded and all that, but it makes me wonder, now that I've been through kind of the ups and downs of being a trader and I've gone, and maybe you feel the same way, and I'm not saying you have to be massively successful either, I'm just saying after you've traded and you look back at what you used to read, maybe you feel like, yeah, what? I see what they're saying, but in practicality, that's not really how it plays out. So that is why I don't think trading books are worth it, because a lot of other places you can get these things along with the general knowledge also all in one place. But as a whole, I'm never going to tell anybody not to read a book. All I will say is there's more to it than just reading a book. And like in the comment section, can you let me know down below. Can you experience this where you've read some books and now that you have a lot of experience in the market, you kind of look back to those books and say, yeah, I'm not quite sure if that author has ever actually traded a stock or a Forex pairing or whatever before in their life, because what they describe, yeah, it sounds good on the pages of a piece of paper, but once you get into the reality of it, things seem a little shaky. So I don't know, let me know your experience with this down in the comment section. Now, I know there's gonna be someone that's like, nope, I've read books and I'm a multimillionaire. And I suppose that's possible. And They'll probably also include a disclaimer or an affiliate link to the book that they wrote that they want you to now go buy on Amazon. But no, I'm just kidding. Because I would delete that immediately, or YouTube would mark it as spam. But I don't know, let me know down in the comment section below what your experience with this is. And now I should note before I forget, any book you can find on trading psychology, those are definitely worth reading and learning into. In fact, down below, I'll put a link to a trading psychology book that I think is very well worth it. Because those aren't really how-to trade books. They're just how to deal with the psychological pressures that occur to us as traders. So I do, glad I remember to say that, because that is one set of trading books that I do believe there to be value, is just any book that has to do with trading psychology. And then also, I will say that books that are more so, kind of biographical, just talking about the life of a trader or the life of really any successful person, I think those have a lot of value because those are just good for motivation, good for inspiration, good to see what people had to go through in order to make things happen. But the books that I got in very, very shaky territory. And like I said, this is just one example of how things can be great on a page of a book, but then in practicality, there's a whole lot of disconnect. So like I said, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Hit that like button, and I will see you back for the next video. Thanks for hanging out. First off, thanks so much for watching the entire video. Real quick, before you go, I want to invite you to a live webinar, web class, training, workshop, online event, whatever you want to call it, but it will be me live revealing to you what I've discovered that has allowed me to transform myself from being an employee to being my own boss, including how I had only one losing day out of 73 days in total. I'm going to cover 3 keys that have helped me unlock profitable consistency within the markets. The first key is super weird, but in a productive type of way. The second key is super awesome because it quite literally is wired into our DNA as humans, making it very easy to use. But in a cruel way, this becomes a pitfall for many traders. I'll explain it all though, including how to avoid the pitfall that it creates for some. And yeah, the third key, when you hear it, sounds way too good to be true, but it's not, and I'll show you how it all works. Then at the end, I open it up for a question and answer session that is, again, totally live. Even if you can't make the live session, please still sign up as it will be recorded, and you can go back and watch the replay that I will send you. Click the image on the screen or click the link down in the description box so you can get the date and time and claim your spot, which I should note is limited due to the fact that this truly is a live event. If you have any questions, let me know. If not, I'll be seeing you soon.